So back in 2019, the Mets traded for a reliever named Edwin Diaz, along with a second baseman that will remain nameless. In his first year, everybody wanted him gone. Everybody wanted him thrown out the window. Everybody wanted him DFA'd. Fast forward to this year, he has been absolutely elite. One of the best relievers in all of baseball, putting up career numbers, career highs throughout the board, and he's a pending free agent. This is the reliever market, so this definitely can get a little interesting. Let's take a look at what a Edwin Diaz contract extension looks like.
On 3-2, Vader. Swings and misses, strike three. He struck him out. 5 net pitchers combined for the second no-hitter in New York Mets history.
So we've said this loads of times. The Mets bullpen is definitely going to look a lot different next year. It's pretty much guaranteed at this point. You have tons of free agents coming off the books. You have Adam Ottavino. You have Trevor May. You have Seth Lugo, Trevor Williams. You do have a few pieces that have impressed down the line, but nothing has really been set in stone for this bullpen. Now, the top arm that you definitely would want to lock down is Edwin Diaz. He is the closer. And like we've said before, the reliever market is definitely different. It's a position that can be very inconsistent. They can be very finicky. And you have to be really, really careful with how you execute these types of contract extensions or whether or not you're going to let them go or not. Off the top of your head right now, what would you say that a Edwin Diaz contract extension looks like? Would you give him a 3 or 4 year deal off the gate?
If you are a longtime watcher of the show, myself and Mets fan are anti-contracts to relief. We are big proponents of just 1+1s. We absolutely laughed at the fact that Raisel Iglesias, a 32-year-old righty, got a 4-year deal over $58 million, and we all laugh and enjoy because they are stupid in the Angels. Edwin Diaz, like you said, 2019, people wanted his head on a stick. This has obviously been his best year, and in a Met uniform, in a walk year as well. You look at Edwin, he's 28, in his prime. Raisel Iglesias got that contract at age 32. So you would think Liam Hendricks set the market in 2019, the biggest reliever contract. Raisel Iglesias topped it last year. You would think Edwin Diaz is looking, especially coming off the season, he most likely and should be an all-star for the first half of the National League. But he has pitched well, and he's pitched like a top 3 reliever in the game, and he's going to want to get paid like a top 3 reliever in the game.
This one is really tough for me because on one hand, I love Edwin Diaz. On the other hand, it's a reliever. It's the reliever market, and it's so hard to judge. I personally like 1-year deals for relievers. I like the 1-and-1, just like you. But then you look at Edwin Diaz, and you look at the caliber that he is pitching right now. He definitely deserves to be paid like one of those top-tier relievers, like Raisel Iglesias got paid before he kind of fell off, and like Liam Hendricks has gotten paid, and like Josh Hader will eventually get paid. He is in that elite category. He's been pitching in that elite category for a long time now. All I can say is that I have a strong feeling that the Mets will try to keep him, and they will definitely urge an overpay towards him. Whether it's a 3-year or 4-year deal, that would be going into his early 30s. Even though this might be a very unorthodox point, and it might be a little bit outside of the numbers in baseball, you think about how Edwin Diaz was brought into this team. He was brought in by a former GM. Now it's 3 GMs ago, because we've gone through so many. He was brought in by Brodie Van Wagenen. He was not brought in by this new regime right now. Obviously, you can't look past that with the caliber that he is pitching in, but as we all know, front offices like to bring in their own guys. What pretty much negates that entire point that I just made is the fact that they haven't traded him yet in his contract year. It definitely looks like they're looking to keep this guy long term.
It was your dumb who was always, you got to trade Diaz. We got to trade Diaz. Oh, we got to give money to the reliever. Oh, we got to go. We got to go. He's got to go. You're already packing his bags, and you're the one.
I never wanted to trade him. I never wanted to trade him.
All the clips on Mets Weekly.
I never wanted to trade him. I did not want to trade him. I said it makes sense why they would want to trade him if they did not want to pay him.
They were never going to get rid of him. It was they were going to play it out. And if he balls out, he's going to get paid in the auction. Edwin Diaz was never going anywhere. That was all your fake reality in your own multiverse. For the guy that loves Edwin Diaz, you were the only person consistently trying to get rid of him.
I was not trying to get rid of him. What are you talking about? I was not trying to get rid of him at all.
You were literally,
it made sense.
You were like, yeah, I would trade Edwin Diaz. And
I did not say I was going to trade Edwin Diaz. What the f*** are you talking about?
Totally
I said it makes sense that they would want to deal him. Do I want to deal him? No, I'm one of his biggest fans. But I'm saying,
okay.
I'm thinking outside of that box and saying, if they wanted to trade him, if they anticipated he was going to be this good, it made sense that why they would want to move him to try and get somebody with more control years and somebody of that elite caliber. That thought is completely passed because he's still here.
You're in your method, meaning, the Angels should have traded Brazel last year at the deadline, which they should have because they were out of the damn race. They should have traded.
All right. Stop trying to ride my ass and get to your point. Before I cut your head off, what realistically is an Edwin Diaz contract extension from the Mets?
And I'm taking this into account. He's hitting the market. This is December 17th, right before Christmas. Mets fans usually on Twitter are yelling because the Mets probably didn't sign anybody yet. What other top relievers got at their age? But they, so most of the time, Hendricks, Iglesias, they signed their deals when there was a 30 in their age. Diaz still has a 2 for 2 more seasons. I have a 4-year. Oh my God, I have 4 years, $68 million deal. Allah. The AAV. Kenley got 16. Iglesias got 16. So I am topping that, making Diaz $17 million a year. But I don't, because of course I'm me, and I don't give long-term deals to relievers. So I've broken it down. First 2 years, it is front-loaded. At age 29 and age 30, it's $20 million AAV. The third year, at age 31, is a $14 million mutual option. It would get Edwin Diaz back on the free agent market, age 31, a la the same age that Raisel Iglesias got this past offseason. And it gives him a benefit of, hey, he balls out after $20 million, which is, again, $4 million more than what the record for a reliever making AAV was. And year 4 is a $14 million team up. So it would be like, hey, it gives Diaz year 1. He wants to opt out his deal at age 31 and ball out and test free agency at the same age that Iglesias did. If he doesn't, then the Mets take the power advantage for the 4th year at age 32, again at $14 million.
Now, we're only halfway through the season. Edwin Diaz could definitely falter. Who knows? I mean, he's the art of choking. Everyone knows he's low Mets all over the place. But if he were to continue this historic run that he is on, because he has been pretty much completely untouchable this year and is topping his 2018 season where he was possibly the best reliever in all of baseball. Do you think that after a full season of him being this top tier reliever, would he ask for that fully guaranteed? And would you be willing, as Billy Epler, to make that accommodation, knowing how elite Edwin Diaz has been for a full 162 game season?
I think it's possible, but I still think that Billy Epler isn't a moron. You're already topping the MLB record for a relief with the first 2 years of that deal, $20 million. You're giving him $40 million right away. Yes, maybe they would probably want it backloaded. They probably would want the 2 $14 million years and then the big 2 at the back half, but most players did. And we don't know who represents Edwin Diaz. Relievers are not going to get starter money, and I mean that is the best starters always getting north of 25. Those guys are always going to get paid more. Even if he breaks the all-time saves record, which he won't, and most strikeouts from a reliever out of the pen in the season, he does all that. And that's even kind of outrageous to give him $20 million for a reliever. Again, Liam Hendricks making 16, Kenley making 16, Iglesias making 16. Hader's still in arbitration. So if Diaz is getting 20 and Hader's going to hit the market next year, what's Hader going to ask for if Diaz is setting the market at 20?
I'd say that the final question would be, is his age of 28 scare you enough that he would have leverage? You be willing to lose Diaz over that?
And there's an obvious team that we're going to be scared would give him that 5th year in the division because their bullpen is a complete absolute dumpster fire and just would spend money at will, but maybe they've run out of money fund because GMs around the league are smartening up to these big reliever deals that they never seem to make sense. Because again, Liam Hendricks was coming off winning the reliever of the year and having a Diaz-like season, and teams were afraid to go 4 years for him, especially in today's game where velocity is key, where you could just draft 5 guys and be like, okay, there's your bullpen. They all throw 100. They all have a slider. And that's how it is. And again, you're not paying them anything. I think there might be a bidding war. Again, like you said, maybe from the luxury teams, a la maybe the Dodgers, depending on what goes on with Craig Kimbrell. And once they get Blake Trinan back, even if that 5th year, if you're telling, would you rather pitch in Citizens Bank Park or Citi Field? I think he would still prefer to play in Citi Field. But again, we don't know. Edwin doesn't seem to be the type of guy that, is just running for the money. But I think it is something to think about. And again, everyone's been talking about the DeGrom opt out. And obviously that's the biggest thing. We're losing Nimmo, but Diaz needs to be in that conversation of the free agents. These are actually meaningful players and actually superstars now. And in their contracts, we got to sign superstars. That is something to think about and given more light because of we're just talking about Nimmo and DeGrom.